Hi, welcome to our pre-calculus. The topic today is sketching the graph of tangent or cotangent function, problem type 2. So type 2, it means that we also have a shift in addition to other activities, which was this kind of scaling. So let's just go back and review what we had from the previous time. So we need the basic graph of tangent and cotangent. Tangent and cotangent, we said, well, for tangent, you have to check the asymptotes for the first or fundamental cycle from minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. The asymptotes are at these 2 points, crossover point at 0. Halfway point, we have pi over 4 and minus pi over 4, where the function goes from minus 1 to 1. Period for the function is just pi. For cotangent, one fundamental cycle from 0 to pi, crossover or x-intercepted at pi over 2. Halfway points, we have value of the function at 1 and minus 1. We are going to use these facts to draw some small modifications to tangent and cotangent. The first example here is minus 1/2 of tangent of x minus pi over 2 and minus pi over 4. So let's just go ahead and get the function we want to graph is minus 1/2 of tangent of x minus pi over 4. That is what we are after. Let me make this thing a better drawing here. So we go through tangent of input angle, and for that we need actually the angle itself, x minus pi over 4 input angle, and then we would need the x. So we set the convenient angles for us to look at for tangent. The 5 values that we are going to consider is we are going to pick everything from this fundamental block for ourselves. We could have used other blocks as well. This is just a central one, and perhaps that's what we pay attention to most. When we have 5 values here, we are going to pick on those 5 values. So these are from minus pi over 2 to pi over 2. So let's go ahead and put our numbers here. So I have minus pi over 2, minus pi over 4, 0, pi over 4, and then pi over 2. Tangent of these things, we said here we start at minus infinity when this is slightly to the right of that, then to minus 1 to 0 to 1 to plus infinity when you're slightly to the left of pi half. Let me remind you what it is. Pi half itself is here. This is pi half. Well, what's the value of the function at pi half? Well, it's undefined. On the left of it, which we indicate as pi half minus, we are pulling up to plus infinity. On the right of it, we are going to write it as pi half plus. So this minuses and pluses next to a number means slightly to the left or slightly to the right. It makes a big difference because we are jumping from minus infinity to plus infinity. So from plus infinity to minus infinity, this is somewhat like some old video games like Pac-Man, that when your character ends up at one end of the screen, like your creature leaves the screen at this location, it reappears at this location. So this is the closest explanation I can find for something in your daily life. So these are starting values, then we multiply by minus 1/2. We said minus infinity times minus becomes plus, and this becomes plus 1/2, 0, minus 1/2, and this becomes minus infinity. The only thing that's left to do is to figure out the actual values of x. So if I have x, this is my input value. I set it equal to this critical number. So x minus pi over 4. If it is minus pi over 2, so what is x? So x is going to be pi 4 minus pi over 2. Take a common denominator. Pi minus 2 pi becomes minus pi over 4. This is, we could have guessed this is going to be a shift to the right by pi over 4. So starting at this point, you shift to the right, you will be at minus pi over 4. Can you guess what would be the answer here? If you start at minus pi over 4 and shift to the right, where would you end up at? Figure that out and then come back and do the calculation by brute force as well. So what's the solution here? The solution, of course, is just 0. 0, pi half to the right, pi 4 to the right, pi 4 to the right here, and pi 4 to the right here, 3 pi over 4. So our asymptotes are from minus pi over 4, so I'll draw one asymptote here, minus pi over 4. You use this one to make that drawing. This is at minus pi over 4. The other asymptote, the final asymptote, is 3 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4 will be here. This is 3 pi over 4. So let's remember each of these blocks is pi over 4. So 4 of them are going to make a pi, and that's going to be our period. So how about at 0 we are at 1/2, 0 and 1/2. Then at pi over 4 we are at 0. At pi over 2 we are at minus a half. Here it's going to be minus a half. So these are 3 points. So each of these graphs wants 2 asymptotes and 3 points in the interior. One is a x-intercept and the other 2 conveniently halfway between the intercept and the asymptote. So what's the picture is going to look like? This is going to draw it for you, so you hopefully get something like this. So what has happened here, if you want to verbally describe, this meant as before, shift right by pi over 4. This means make the picture half as tall. This means flip it upside down, and that would be one way of arriving at the answer with less pain than making a table. Cotangent of x plus pi over 4. So again, I go ahead, make a table here. What was it? 2 minus 2 cotangent of x plus pi over 4. So of course that comes from cotangent of x plus pi over 4, and the input to that is x plus pi over 4, and then we are actually graphing versus x. So here's our table. Our angles as usual 0 to pi. We go through cotangent. 0 plus is going to be plus infinity, then 1, then 0, then minus 1, then minus infinity when you're pi minus. Doubling it, minus infinity, minus 2, 0, 2, plus infinity. What is this? X plus pi 4 means shift to the left. Take any of these things and shift it to the left by pi over 4. Meaning, for example, if you had pi over 2, x plus pi over 4 is pi over 2. So what is x? It's pi over 2 minus pi over 4. So that's what we mean by shifting to the left. And of course you simplify. So it's pi over 4. And then to the left 0, to the left minus pi over 4, to the left pi over 2, to the left 3 pi over 4. So we are starting at minus pi over 4, going to 3 pi over 4. So this picture is gonna give you room for multiple. Let me see, if does it say draw more than? It just says 2 consecutive asymptotes. Would have been nice if it had said draw more of them, but it doesn't. Okay, so at minus pi over 4 we're starting at minus infinity. Then at 0 we are at minus 2. Then crossover. Then at pi over 2 we are at 2. So we have a picture kind of looking like this. Verbally, to describe this thing, you say what? Plus pi over 4 means shift left by pi over 4. Shift left what? Shift left this one. Take this picture, shift it to the left by pi over 4. Then what? Shift left by pi over 4. Then twice as tall, so you stretch it by factor of 2, and then minus means flip. Minus means flip upside down. You have to flip to your picture, and that's how you get your answer. We have one more without room. So minus 3 tangent of x plus pi over 2. So of course comes from tangent, whose input is x plus pi over 2, and then we need to calculate x for graphing purposes. So as usual, this starts from minus pi over 2, minus pi over 4, 0, pi over 4, and pi over 2. So where I am getting these 5 numbers from? These are first fundamental block of tangent. You could have used the numbers here. Well, they're going to be less familiar to you, but you could. Tangent starts from, again, from minus infinity to minus 1 to 0 to 1 to plus infinity. Multiplying by minus 3 makes this thing plus infinity, plus 3, 0, minus 3, minus infinity. This is going to be shift left, right? Adding means shift left. Like if you have x plus pi over 2 is minus pi half, x becomes minus pi half minus another pi half. Final x is minus pi, so this is minus pi. Shift left, minus 3 pi over 4, shift left, minus pi over 2, shift left, minus pi 4, shift left is 0. So our graph, if I want to draw, is going to go from here to here. So you draw these two asymptotes with that, and then at minus pi over 4 we are at 3, minus pi over 4 we are at 3, minus pi over 2 0, minus 3 pi over 4 minus 3. I made a mistake. So let's try again. At minus pi, we start at plus infinity. Minus pi is that's our starting point. You cannot draw it on the software, but just so that's how I cut my mistake. Minus 3 pi over 4, we are at plus 3. Then minus pi over 2, well, that's crossover point. Then minus pi over 4, we are at minus 3. So this is stretched again. So minus 3 tangent of x plus pi over 2. What are the transformations? All graphs going to go left by pi over 2. This is going to indicate 3 times as tall. And then minus means flip it upside down. So you see here is minus and then over plus infinity. After you flip it, it curves the other way. So that is what we got here. Okay, I guess we had enough of these graphics. So we are going to get into some applications and then to the wonderful world of identities and equations. Until next time, good luck and God bless.